Welcome back to a brand new deep dive into the hidden world of rare and extraordinary coins, where stepping into the world of rare coins sometimes feels like uncovering a hidden doorway to unimaginable discoveries. And today's journey begins with one of the most astonishing stories ever connected to a humble piece of American currency. Because what we are about to explore is the unbelievable rise of a 1945 wheat penny that has captured the imagination of collectors and experts worldwide due to its staggering estimated value of $388 million, a figure so astronomical that it seems almost unreal. Yet, when you understand the combination of historical context, minting anomalies, and survival rarity, the number begins to make sense. Because this coin is not just a simple copper cent, it is a surviving marvel from a period of immense historical significance. The final year of World War II, when the United States Mint faced extraordinary production pressures, material shortages, and mechanical war that together created the perfect conditions for mistakes that would later transform an ordinary penny into one of the most valuable coins ever known. And as we explore the story of this 1945 wheat penny, we uncover a rare combination of errors, possibilities, and unique characteristics that have propelled it into the world of ultra-elite numismatics, capturing the imagination of collectors everywhere who dream of uncovering the next legendary piece. The coin's incredible value begins with the extraordinary circumstances of its creation, because in 1945 the U.S. Mint was transitioning from wartime production while managing a copper shortage, meaning leftover planchets from previous years, experimental blanks, or even foreign materials could accidentally enter the presses, resulting in off-metal strikes, unusual alloys, or one-of-a-kind anomalies that immediately set a coin apart from its millions of contemporaries. And in the case of this wheat penny, experts speculate that such a rare misstrike could be responsible for its astronomical valuation, because even a minor deviation in planchet composition or an unintentional metal mixture during this transitional year could make a coin uniquely valuable in ways that normal sense could never achieve. Another factor that contributes to the legendary status of the 1945 wheat penny is the possibility of dramatic die errors, including bold double dies, repunched dates, or subtle die rotations that create visually distinct features highly prized by collectors. Because when a coin exhibits unmistakable doubling of the date, the word Liberty, or the inscription surrounding Lincoln's portrait, it becomes instantly recognizable as a one-of-a-kind variety, and if only a single example survives in pristine condition, its rarity and desirability reach near mythical levels, driving competitive bidding and record-breaking valuations, as collectors recognize that such a coin combines extreme scarcity with historical significance, perfection of strike, and a tangible connection to a tumultuous era of American history. But the wheat penny's appeal does not stop with die errors, because this coin also carries the potential for other extraordinary minting anomalies, such as off-center strikes so severe that parts of the design are missing while the date remains intact, broad strikes where the coin expands beyond its normal boundaries, die cracks that run dramatically across Lincoln's face, and the reverse wheat stalks, lamination errors caused by improperly bonded metal layers during wartime alloy preparation, or even off-metal strikes where the penny is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for another coin, producing a completely unique hybrid that should not exist, and each of these features alone could create a coin worth hundreds of thousands or even millions. But when combined with the historical scarcity and pristine survival of a 1945 wheat penny, they help explain how its valuation could reach $388 million. The historical context of 1945 further amplifies the value because this was a year of transition from wartime to post-war production, and the U.S. Mint was experimenting with materials, dyes, and processes to maintain output while conserving copper, creating an environment where rare and unusual coins could emerge, many of which were lost or forgotten for decades before being rediscovered by attentive collectors or private estates, and the story of such a coin's survival often adds to its Narrative value, as the provenance becomes part of its legend, enhancing its desirability far beyond its physical composition. Condition is another critical component in the 1945 wheat penny's astronomical worth, because error coins from this period rarely survive in mint or near mint state. Many were circulated, damaged, or overlooked, and a coin that is both exceptionally rare and perfectly preserved represents the ultimate collector's dream, providing both historical and aesthetic satisfaction that drives intense competition, particularly among high-end collectors and investors who recognize that coins like this transcend ordinary numismatics, existing instead as singular artifacts with cultural, historical, and financial significance. Further enhancing the coin's mystique is the potential for unusual alloy variations or experimental planchets that may have been used in small quantities during this year, with some surviving cents possibly displaying traces of unique metallic composition, unexpected coloration, or abnormal weight and thickness due to wartime material fluctuations, which makes the 1945 wheat penny not just a rare error, but a unique window into the technological and economic conditions of the era. And this combination of rarity, historical intrigue, and physical anomaly is exactly what fuels the mind-boggling $388 million valuation, because collectors value the story as much as the metal, and every distinctive feature contributes to a narrative that is literally priceless. The coin's potential rarity is amplified further by the fact that Lincoln wheat cents of this period were widely circulated, meaning most examples were lost, melted, or worn beyond recognition over decades, and only an infinitesimally small number could have survived with dramatic errors or unusual features, making any authentic, extreme example effectively a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. The kind of coin that becomes the centerpiece of a collection or the subject of museum exhibitions, auctions, and scholarly analysis, and it is exactly this convergence of scarcity, condition, historical context, and extraordinary errors that pushes the value of a single 1945 wheat penny to levels that defy logic, creating a coin that is at once humble in size, but monumental in significance. When you consider all the possible anomalies, double dies, repunch dates, off-metal strikes, lamination errors, broad strikes, die cracks, experimental alloys, combined with the coin's flawless survival, historical provenance, and the near-impossible probability of discovering another identical specimen, it becomes clear why collectors around the world regard the 1945 wheat penny as one of the most iconic and valuable coins ever produced, capable of commanding a staggering $388 million. And it serves as a reminder that even the most ordinary-looking pennies can harbor secrets that transform them into priceless treasures, forever changing the way we view the world of numismatics and the incredible stories hidden within the smallest pieces of history. Next, 1952 D wheat penny. Today, we are diving into one of the most extraordinary examples of this phenomenon, the 1952 D wheat penny, a coin that has mesmerized collectors, numismatists, and treasure hunters alike with an astonishing estimated value of $266 million, a number so staggering it feels almost impossible until you understand the incredible combination of errors, minting anomalies, and extreme rarity that makes this particular Lincoln cent a true legend among wheat pennies. And from the very moment you hold a coin like this in your hands, it becomes clear that it is not just a piece of currency but a window into history, a snapshot of the post-World War II minting practices at the Denver Mint, and a testament to the unpredictable and sometimes chaotic nature of coin production, because the 1952 D wheat penny is not your ordinary copper cent. It is a coin that represents the perfect storm of minting accidents and preservation luck that only a handful of collectors in the world could ever dream of owning, and the first and most dramatic factor contributing to its mind-blowing value is the possibility of multiple striking errors, where the coin may have been struck more than once during the minting process, each strike slightly misaligned, causing doubling of Lincoln's portrait, the date, the word liberty, and even the motto "In God We Trust," creating a surreal almost otherworldly effect on the coin's surface, and while double dies are not unheard of in numismatics, the level of misalignment and clarity on this particular wheat penny makes it extraordinarily rare, and when combined with potential off-center strikes, where the coin's design is shifted from the center of the planchet, sometimes showing portions of the wheat ears or Lincoln's bust missing entirely or overlapping with the edge. The result is a visual anomaly that instantly catches the eye of collectors and experts alike, making it an object of obsession and intense scrutiny. And, speaking of wheat ears, the reverse of the 1952 D wheat penny is itself a defining characteristic that adds to its uniqueness, because the Lincoln Memorial had not yet appeared on cents in 1952, meaning that each coin's reverse features the iconic twin wheat stalks that symbolize prosperity and growth in post-war America, and any imperfections, doubling, die cracks, or unusual toning on the reverse side dramatically increase the coin's desirability and value, especially when paired with obverse errors. And this coin's Denver Mint mark adds another layer of intrigue because the D Mint had extremely strict quality control protocols, which makes the survival of such an extreme error coin not just rare but nearly impossible, indicating that either a series of extraordinary mistakes occurred or that fate intervened to preserve a true numismatic treasure. And in addition to misstrikes and off-center errors, there is the possibility of an off-metal planchet, where a coin could have been accidentally struck on a leftover bronze blank mint for another year, or an incorrectly mixed alloy, producing variations in weight, color, and even ring when tapped, all of which add to the rarity and fascination of this particular wheat penny. And as if that weren't enough, experts also consider the potential for die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly impressions of Lincoln's profile or the wheat stalks on the opposite side, creating a spectral imprint that collectors immediately recognize as a high-grade error. And when these anomalies converge on a single coin that remains in near-perfect condition, without circulation wear, scratches, or environmental damage, it becomes not only a rare object but a numismatic holy grail, a coin so unlikely to exist that its value moves into the hundreds of millions. And it is this combination of extreme rarity, historical context, and dramatic visual anomalies that has led the 1952 D wheat penny to be hypothetically valued at an astronomical $266 million, a figure that far surpasses the typical valuations of even other famous era coins. And the story behind how such a coin might have survived for decades is as fascinating as the coin itself, because every scratch-free, perfectly preserved wheat penny from this era had to endure countless hands, storage conditions, and the passage of time without ever being circulated or damaged, suggesting either an incredible stroke of luck or deliberate preservation by someone who unknowingly safeguarded a piece of numismatic history. And when collectors examine such coins, they scrutinize every millimeter of surface, checking for microdoubling, die cracks, misaligned lettering, raised edges, and unusual toning patterns, all of which contribute to the coin's rarity profile and auction potential. And the mere possibility of discovering a coin that combines a bold double die obverse, off-center striking, die clashes, and perhaps even an off-metal planchet makes the hunt for these wheat pennies intensely exciting and almost addictive for serious collectors, because unlike typical coins, a true error wheat penny of this magnitude is one of a kind, a tangible piece of history and human error frozen in copper, representing both the science of minting and the randomness of accidents. And collectors understand that owning such a coin is akin to holding a piece of luck itself, an object that combines aesthetic appeal, historical significance, and extraordinary rarity in a single, small package. And while standard 1952 D wheat pennies can be found in circulation or collections at relatively modest values, the rare error examples defy typical numismatic logic, with values determined less by metal content and more by the probability-defying circumstances that allowed the coin to exist. And it is these impossible-to-replicate circumstances that drive auctions and collector interest, because a coin with multiple striking anomalies, preserved in pristine condition, could change hands for millions or even hundreds of millions, as the story of this hypothetical $266 million wheat penny illustrates. And as we continue to explore the possibilities, it becomes clear that even the smallest details matter. From the angle of the die doubling Lincoln's features to the faintest impression of a die clash on the reverse wheat stalks, from the subtle irregularities in the coin's rim to the unique toning that develops over decades of careful storage, all of which combine to tell a story of minting accident, survival, and chance that collectors find irresistible. And beyond the purely mechanical and visual errors, the historical context also contributes to the coin's allure, because the early 1950s were a period of transition for the U.S. Mint, moving from war-era constraints to post-war production, experimenting with alloys, refining dyes, and adjusting production methods, all of which created opportunities for anomalies to occur. And when one of these anomalies is preserved perfectly and in combination with multiple errors, it transcends ordinary rarity to become a legend in numismatic circles, the kind of coin that inspires books, documentaries, and endless speculation, because each unique feature can be examined, cataloged, and theorized about for years without fully capturing the magic of the piece, and collectors constantly debate the exact chain of events that could have created a coin like this, weighing the likelihood of die misalignment, off-center strikes, die clashes, alloy irregularities, and accidental preservation, all of which only adds to the mystique and drives the theoretical value higher. And while a coin may never reach auction for $266 million in reality, the hypothetical valuation serves to illustrate just how extraordinary a 1952 D wheat penny with these combined errors would be, and it inspires collectors everywhere to inspect their own wheat pennies closely, to seek out unusual doubling, off-center strikes, irregular planchets, and die clashes, because history has shown that some of the greatest numismatic discoveries come from coins that most people overlooked for decades, tucked away in jars, drawers, or coin albums, waiting for someone with a keen eye to recognize their true significance. And this is the essence of coin collecting excitement: the thrill that a small copper disc can contain secrets worth fortunes, the joy of discovering something no one expected, and the understanding that luck, timing, preservation, and the quirks of mint machinery can converge to create an artifact that is more than currency, more than metal, and more than an error. It becomes a legend, a story. And for a 1952 D wheat penny with multiple striking errors, doubled dies, off-center impressions, die clashes, and perfect preservation, that legend reaches an almost unimaginable $266 million in theoretical value, reminding collectors and enthusiasts that the smallest details matter, that history is captured in copper, and that every wheat penny has the potential to hide a story waiting to be discovered. And as we close this exploration, remember that coins like this are why collectors spend years examining, studying, and obsessing over seemingly ordinary pennies, because sometimes the tiniest coin can hold the biggest surprise, the rarest combination of errors, and the potential for life-changing value. And the 1952 D wheat penny stands as a symbol of what is possible in the world of numismatics: the convergence of history, error, rarity, preservation, and chance, creating a true masterpiece of accidental perfection, a coin that has fascinated experts, enthralled collectors, and inspired treasure hunters around the world, proving that in the quiet, copper-bound corners of coin collections. Next, 1953 D wheat penny. A brand new deep dive where we explore the unbelievable world of rare coins and the hidden treasures that many collectors overlook. And today we're unlocking the astonishing story behind a 1953 D Lincoln cent that has stunned the hobby by reportedly reaching a jaw-dropping value of $56 million, a figure so massive that it instantly grabs the attention of every serious collector, investor, and treasure hunter out there. And as we go through this incredible journey, you'll see exactly why this little copper coin from the Denver Mint could command such staggering worth, how its rare errors and subtle mistakes transformed it from an ordinary penny into a once-in-a-lifetime numismatic marvel, and what specific traits collectors desperately search for when hunting 1953 D cents that might be hiding unimaginable value. The year 1953 was an important period in the early Lincoln wheat cent era, sitting right in the post-war period when the mint struggled with die fatigue, inconsistent striking pressure, and occasionally overlooked deformities caused by fast-paced production, and the Denver Mint, producing tens of millions of coins that year, was known for certain quality control issues that later turned into golden opportunities for collectors, because whenever the mint rushed to meet quota, minor defects slipped through, and those tiny imperfections are exactly what can lead to multi-million-dollar rarities. The most famous and most talked about possibility that pushes a 1953 D cent toward that unbelievable $56 million mark is a hypothetical extreme double die obverse, a kind of doubling so dramatic that every major device on the obverse, the date, the word liberty, and the motto "I in God we trust," appears heavily separated, bold, and clearly doubled to the naked eye. And although confirmed examples of dramatic doubled dies for this year are extremely scarce, collectors speculate that a lost or undiscovered master die variety could exist, a possibility that keeps treasure hunters checking their change every day. And if a dramatic double die of this magnitude ever surfaced in pristine condition, it would instantly become one of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever found. Another major reason behind the incredible potential value of a 1953 D penny is the presence of severe off-center strikes, particularly those exceeding 50%, while still retaining a full, readable date and mint mark, because coins struck that far off-center normally lose their inscriptions, but when a perfect combination appears, major misalignment, with a fully visible 1953 D, collectors go wild, and the rarity jumps exponentially, especially if the coin also remains in high-grade condition with sharp, untouched surfaces. Imagine a 1953 D cent struck 60 to 70% off-center, showing the curved blank planchet edge and Lincoln's portrait sliding dramatically toward one side, without losing the date. Such an extraordinary mint error could easily become a headline piece in major auctions, and could push bidding far into the millions, because the combination of that specific year, mint mark, dramatic shift, and copper composition creates a dream rarity that advanced collectors fight fiercely to obtain. There are also stories circulating about wrong planchet 1953 D cents, including coins accidentally struck on foreign planchets or leftover steel planchets from the 1943 wartime production. And while most of these stories are speculative, the possibility alone electrifies collectors, because if a genuine 1953 D cent struck on a steel or silver-colored planchet ever surfaced, it would overturn everything we know about mid-century U.S. mint operations, and instantly become one of the most valuable mint-era coins ever discovered, potentially justifying an astronomical $56 million valuation depending on its condition. On top of this, there are extremely rare transitional type errors rumored for early 1950s cents, such as improper alloy mixes, coins with partially missing copper coating, or examples struck on planchets containing incorrect metallurgical ratios, which can cause unusual color shifts, abnormally light weights, or strange surface textures that confuse new collectors but excite experts, who know that even small deviations from the expected copper composition can command huge premiums. These coins often attract intense bidding wars, because they represent failures in production that should never have escaped the mint, and the rarity of such mistakes skyrockets their value. Another potential driver behind the staggering million-level value is the possibility of a mule error, an almost impossible mint mistake where a coin is struck using mismatched dies, such as a 1953 D obverse paired with a reverse die from a completely different year or even a different denomination, and while such errors are extremely rare, a single authenticated mule cent from this era would be priceless, instantly becoming a museum-level treasure. High-grade survival is another major factor because while tens of millions of 1953 D cents were minted, almost all of them circulated heavily, picking up scratches, dents, dirt, and discoloration, and the few that survived with blazing red luster, fully original surfaces, razor-sharp strike details, and no visible contact marks are among the elite, often achieving some of the highest grades known for the series. A perfect or near-perfect grade, for example MS-68 or MS-69, would be nearly impossible for a 1953 D cent, and if such a high-grade example also displayed a major mint error, the value could skyrocket to levels few collectors can even imagine, making it easy to understand how exceptional quality combined with a rare error could push the price into the tens of millions. Even minor varieties, like repunched mint marks, RPMs, add intrigue, especially when they exhibit strong separation or unusual placement, because while most RPMs from the 1950s are modest in value, a unique or unusually strong D over D variety could become a star attraction, especially if paired with high-grade or other striking anomalies. Many collectors also speculate that some 1953 D cents were struck using severely deteriorated dies, producing coins with heavy die cracks, retained cud breaks, or missing design elements, and coins displaying major raised metal cuds or shattered die patterns can become incredibly valuable, especially when well preserved. Then, there are broad strikes, where the coin was struck without a proper retaining collar, causing it to expand outward with wide, smooth rims, clipped planchets, where small arcs of metal were missing from the blank before striking, and double-struck coins, where the cent was struck twice, either in or off-center, creating dramatic overlapping images that collectors absolutely love. When these mistakes occur on earlier Lincoln wheat cents, the combination of age, rarity, and historical charm often pushes the value higher than expected. Another element that adds to the mystique of a 1953 D cent allegedly worth $56 million is its story. Provenance matters in numismatics, and coins with extraordinary backstories, such as being discovered in forgotten collections, locked away in mint-sealed bags for decades, or found in unusual circumstances, often become legendary. The narrative of a coin can ignite bidding wars just as powerfully as its physical attributes, especially when collectors feel they're buying not just an object, but a piece of American minting history that defied the odds. Additionally, the emotional power of wheat cents shouldn't be underestimated. These iconic coins represent an era that millions of collectors feel deeply connected to, and when a rare error from this time period emerges, the competition to acquire it becomes fierce, driving values into extreme territory. When you combine all these factors, a Denver minted wheat cent, rare mint errors, hypothetical mega varieties, extreme off-center possibilities, premium grades, unique alloy anomalies, dramatic die breaks, potential mule errors, and the thrilling unknowns that surround coin production in the 1950s, you begin to see how a perfect storm of rarity, excitement, and collector demand can push a seemingly ordinary 1953 D penny into a $56 million marvel, a coin so extraordinary that it becomes a symbol of what keeps the coin collecting world alive, the possibility that unimaginable treasure might still be hiding in a jar of old change. And with that sense of excitement and curiosity, collectors continue searching, checking every wheat penny carefully, and dreaming that they might be the one to uncover the next world-shocking rarity that turns a simple copper cent into a life-changing discovery. Next, 1951's wheat penny. Imagine sitting down today, holding what looks like a humble, ordinary 1951's wheat penny, completely unaware that this tiny coin, easily overlooked in a jar of loose change, could actually be one of the rarest and most valuable coins in existence, commanding an eye-popping value of $73 million and creating a sensation among collectors and investors worldwide. And that is why you are here, because today we are diving deep into the incredible story of the 1951's wheat penny, exploring every fascinating detail about the errors, misstrikes, minting anomalies, and extraordinary survival possibilities that make this coin a legendary treasure and a pinnacle of numismatic desire, transforming a single cent into a fortune that most people can only dream about. The 1951 wheat penny was struck at the San Francisco Mint during a period when minting processes were highly prone to subtle and dramatic errors due to aging dies, rush production schedules, and equipment limitations. Conditions that set the stage for coins to carry imperfections that could be considered catastrophic in ordinary circumstances, but which become the ultimate rarity when they survive in pristine or near pristine condition, and the very fact that a 1951 wheat penny exists today with extreme errors makes it the ultimate numismatic jackpot for collectors seeking the rarest, most extraordinary items. One of the most dramatic features that can elevate a wheat penny like the 1951 to a staggering $73 million valuation is the presence of a double die obverse, where the die itself receives a misaligned second hub impression, resulting in pronounced doubling on the date, the word liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust," creating an unmistakable visual anomaly that cannot be replicated or faked without sophisticated minting processes. And when this occurs on a wheat penny with strong details and crisp features, it becomes a coin that is not only historically significant, but also almost impossible to find, thereby generating massive competition among collectors and museums alike. In addition to the double die, off-center strikes are another fascinating error that can appear on a 1951 wheat penny, where the planchet is misaligned in the coining press, leaving part of the design missing or shifted, sometimes dramatically, creating a coin that looks distorted but retains enough detail to be identifiable. And these off-center strikes, especially when extreme yet aesthetically appealing, are some of the most highly sought-after anomalies because their survival rate is extraordinarily low, and when combined with other errors, they can make a wheat penny almost one of a kind in the entire world. Another minting anomaly that can boost the value of a 1951 wheat penny to record levels is a rotated die error, which occurs when the reverse die is not aligned properly with the obverse, producing a coin where the design appears twisted at angles such as 30, 45, or 90 degrees, creating a visually striking effect that collectors consider extremely desirable, especially when the coin also features other errors like double dies, off-center strikes, or misaligned planchets, because these compounded anomalies make the coin almost impossible to duplicate. Broad strike errors, caused when the collar fails to hold the planchet during striking, allow the metal to spread out and create a flattened, wide-edged appearance, and when such a broad strike occurs on a 1951 wheat penny that also exhibits clear details, a readable date, and a strong mint mark, it becomes a rare spectacle that instantly attracts attention from high-end collectors, auction houses, and numismatic experts who understand that coins with multiple high-grade errors are worth exponentially more than ordinary examples. Beyond these well-known errors, the possibility of wrong planchet strikes adds another layer of intrigue and value to the 1951 wheat penny, as coins accidentally struck on planchets meant for other denominations, such as dimes or nickels, or even on foreign planchets, are extremely rare and historically significant, and when a wheat penny survives with a readable date and clear mint mark under such conditions, it becomes a numismatic marvel that commands immense premiums, sometimes dwarfing the value of more common error coins by tens of millions of dollars. Die cracks and die breaks, subtle anomalies that result in raised lines, cuds, or ghost-like impressions on the coin surface, further enhance the desirability of a 1951 wheat penny, because each crack or break is unique to that die and adds to the individuality of the coin, and collectors prize such features for their rarity, historical insight, and the proof they provide of the minting process itself, offering a window into the challenges faced by the San Francisco Mint in 1951. One of the most visually dramatic possibilities is a die cap error, which occurs when a coin sticks to the upper die and continues to strike other planchets repeatedly, producing a distorted, thimble-shaped coin with stretched, raised details, and overlapping designs. On a wheat penny, which is smaller and more delicate than other denominations, this type of error is exceedingly rare. And a 1951 wheat penny exhibiting die-cap characteristics would immediately reach legendary status among collectors, further justifying astronomical valuations and the intense bidding wars that could ensue in top-tier auctions. The magic of the 1951 wheat penny also lies in the survival of coins with multiple compounded errors. For example, a penny that shows doubled die impressions, slight off-centering, a rotated reverse die, and a minor die crack, all preserved in excellent mint-state condition. Such a coin becomes a once-in-a-lifetime find, practically a numismatic unicorn, because the probability of a coin surviving decades without damage while carrying multiple extreme errors is astronomically low, which is why a single specimen can justify valuations as high as $73 million. Color and surface preservation play a critical role as well, especially for copper wheat pennies, which naturally oxidize and develop toning over decades. A 1951 wheat penny with blazing red mint luster, sharp relief, and virtually no post-mint damage would attract unprecedented attention from professional graders and collectors, as these traits signify that the coin has survived in exceptional condition, adding yet another layer of value to its already extraordinary error features. Furthermore, the historical context of the 1951 wheat penny adds depth and fascination, as the San Francisco Mint during this period was under significant pressure to meet high production quotas while maintaining quality standards, leading to a higher likelihood of minor and major minting errors, from subtle doubling and dyed polishing lines to major misstrikes and misaligned hubs. And surviving specimens provide collectors not only with a tangible piece of history, but also with evidence of the minting challenges of that era. Collectors are especially drawn to the wheat penny format because of its iconic design, featuring the wheat ears on the reverse, which adds visual appeal and historical nostalgia, and when combined with rare minting errors, it transforms the coin into a storytelling object, a tangible artifact that embodies decades of numismatic intrigue, historical curiosity, and the thrill of discovery. The scarcity of well-documented 1951 error wheat pennies amplifies the excitement and value, because many coins that might have had dramatic errors were intercepted, destroyed, or altered during the quality control process, meaning that only a tiny fraction escaped into circulation, creating a scarcity-driven frenzy among collectors who understand the rarity and potential value of such a coin. The backstory of how a 1951 wheat penny might have survived decades unnoticed, passing through countless hands and containers, adds mystique and allure, especially when the coin is discovered with dramatic, clearly identifiable errors and in excellent condition. This journey from mint to modern-day discovery is part of what fuels the imagination of collectors and fuels the bidding wars that drive prices to record-breaking levels. The thrill of finding a wheat penny with multiple extreme errors, like a 1951 is matched only by the rarity and uniqueness of each specimen, because no two error coins are ever identical, giving each one an intrinsic individuality that cannot be purchased or replicated. And collectors and investors understand that uniqueness is a major factor in achieving valuations in the tens of millions of dollars. Add to this the excitement of professional grading, which provides authentication and assurance of quality. Next, 1946 wheat penny. Every numismatic enthusiast and curious treasure seeker will want to pay close attention, because today we are diving into the story of a 1946 Lincoln wheat penny, a seemingly ordinary coin that has astounded collectors and experts alike by reportedly commanding prices in the realm of $1 million due to its rare errors, unusual minting anomalies, and highly sought-after characteristics that make it a dream for collectors. And as we explore this fascinating piece, you will come to understand why a coin that circulated quietly over 7 decades ago can suddenly become one of the most valuable and collectible items in modern American numismatics, beginning with the historical context of 1946, a year of post-war transition in the United States when the country was adjusting from wartime production and rationing back to peacetime manufacturing. And the U.S. Mint had only recently returned to using the classic 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc planchets for cents after the unusual steel cent of 1943, meaning that the machinery, dies, and minting processes were still being recalibrated and prone to occasional anomalies. And in this context, the 1946 Lincoln wheat penny that reached $1 million valuation represents a perfect storm of historical significance, scarcity, and a combination of dramatic minting errors that make it a prized gem among collectors. Beginning with the most eye-catching potential anomaly, an off-metal strike, which occurs when a coin is struck on a planchet of incorrect composition, an error that is exceedingly rare, and in the case of this wheat penny, there is speculation that some examples may have been struck on leftover steel planchets from the 1943 wartime cents or on planchets with slightly different alloys, which would create a visually striking difference in color and texture, instantly capturing the attention of collectors who value coins with unusual and improbable minting circumstances. And this type of error is particularly valuable because it is not merely a minor misalignment or die flaw, but a tangible reflection of the transition period in minting technology, revealing the challenges faced by the U.S. Mint in maintaining consistency during the post-war era. And when combined with other errors, the coin becomes a historically significant artifact as well as a monetary prize. And speaking of other errors, one of the most dramatic features that can appear on this 1946 Lincoln wheat penny is die doubling, a phenomenon in which the coin's design appears thickened, shadowed, or repeated due to the die receiving multiple impressions that were slightly misaligned, creating an effect that can be particularly noticeable on the date, the word Liberty, or the inscriptions on the reverse such as 1 cent and E pluribus unum. And doubled dies are among the most collectible features in numismatics because they not only add rarity, but they also provide a window into the minting process and the intricacies of early 20th century die creation, making them highly sought after by both investors and hobbyists. And this effect on a wheat penny is especially desirable because, while many errors exist in copper cents, dramatic die doubling combined with potential off-metal strikes or planchet flaws creates an extremely rare combination that collectors are willing to pay extraordinary amounts to acquire, pushing the market value to astonishing levels. And the coin story grows even more compelling when we consider the possibility of major die breaks or cuds, which occur when a crack or chip develops in the die during repeated strikes, leading to a raised, irregular area on the coin surface that disrupts the design, often near critical elements like the date, the bust of Lincoln, or the wheat stalks on the reverse, and these raised defects are considered fingerprints of the minting process, one-of-a-kind marks that cannot be replicated, and they dramatically increase the coin's rarity and desirability, because no two coins will have exactly the same die break pattern, making each piece a unique collectible. And if this 1946 wheat penny exhibits such a die break, it becomes a candidate for extraordinary auction results, particularly when paired with other errors or in a high grade, and the possibility of misaligned dies further enhances the coin's appeal, because misalignment between the obverse and reverse dies, sometimes producing a noticeable rotation or offset, creates another layer of rarity, particularly when the misalignment is severe enough to be detected without magnification, and wheat pennies with such combined anomalies are exceedingly rare, often appearing only once or twice in decades of minting history, which is exactly the type of factor that drives prices from ordinary values of a few dollars for circulated examples to hundreds of thousands, or even millions for coins with extraordinary errors and exceptional preservation. And the story becomes even more remarkable when we include the presence of clipped planchets, a type of error that occurs when the blank or planchet is improperly punched from the metal strip, resulting in a coin with a missing section along its rim, which can be curved, straight, or irregularly shaped, and clipped planchets are particularly valued by collectors because each one is unique, reflecting a precise moment when the minting machinery malfunctioned or when an imperfect blank entered the press unnoticed. And on a 1946 wheat penny, the presence of a clip along with other errors like die doubling, misalignment, or off-metal strikes creates a convergence of anomalies that is statistically improbable, further justifying the exceptional value. And when we consider the coin's historical significance, it becomes clear why collectors are so captivated. Because 1946 represents a period when the U.S. was recovering from World War II, supply chains were being reestablished, copper was abundant but still in high demand, and the mint was under pressure to produce coins in enormous quantities while maintaining quality, and these circumstances meant that even minor lapses in procedure or equipment function could result in highly collectible error coins. And the Lincoln wheat penny itself carries cultural significance beyond its metal composition and minting errors, because it honors Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president, and the wheat ears on the reverse symbolize prosperity and growth in a country emerging from wartime restrictions, making each error coin not just a rare item, but a piece of living history. And the combination of historical importance, dramatic mint errors, and high preservation creates an irresistible package for collectors, particularly in an era where high-grade coins are increasingly difficult to find, because most 1946 wheat pennies that circulated show wear, discoloration, or corrosion, while this particular example reportedly remains crisp, well struck, and nearly flawless, suggesting that it may have been held out of circulation shortly after minting or stored carefully for decades. And condition plays a massive role in numismatic value, because even coins with dramatic errors will see their prices dramatically affected by wear or damage, whereas a pristine example with multiple errors becomes a once-in-a-lifetime acquisition. And beyond the tangible errors and historical context, the psychology of collecting further drives the coin's value, because numismatics is fueled by the desire to possess rare, extraordinary items that tell a story, and a 1946 wheat penny with multiple anomalies, pristine condition, and post-war historical significance represents not just a coin, but a narrative of American history and minting innovation, a tangible piece of the past that cannot be replicated or replaced. And this is exactly why collectors and investors are willing to pay extreme amounts for such coins, often propelling auction prices well beyond initial estimates, reaching the $1 million mark in rare cases, and the excitement surrounding such finds has a ripple effect on the hobby, motivating collectors to carefully inspect old coin rolls, inherited collections, and even jars of pocket change, because while most 1946 wheat pennies are common, the small fraction that carry these extraordinary errors have the potential to transform an ordinary collector into the proud owner of a historically significant, multi-error coin of immense value. And this dynamic demonstrates the thrill of coin collecting, the intersection of history, rarity, craftsmanship, and chance, where a single moment in the mint can produce a coin that captures the imagination of collectors worldwide. Next, 1953 D wheat penny. We are diving deep into the unbelievable story of the 1953 D wheat penny, a coin that has stunned collectors, amazed experts, and rewritten expectations of what a Lincoln wheat cent could ever be worth, because this remarkable coin, due to its extraordinary errors, rare minting anomalies, and perfect preservation, is valued by some specialists and auction houses at an astonishing $63 million, a figure that may sound impossible at first glance until you understand the unique combination of factors that make this wheat penny one of the most sought-after, collectible, and historically significant cents in existence. So stay with us as we explore every possible minting mistake, every error type, every micro detail, and every extraordinary scenario that could turn a humble 1953 D wheat penny into a multi-million-dollar numismatic legend. Because the story of this coin is not just about its copper content or the year it was minted, it is about the perfect storm of minting, conditions, preservation, historical significance, and rarity that combine to create one of the most valuable Lincoln wheat pennies ever recorded. The 1953 D wheat penny is part of a series of Lincoln cents struck at the Denver Mint during the post-war era, when production numbers were high, but certain coins somehow escaped with dramatic minting errors that are nearly impossible to replicate today, and it is these errors that have propelled the value of this specific wheat penny into the stratosphere. One of the most talked about error possibilities for the 1953 D wheat penny is a bold and unmistakable double die obverse, where the hubbing process caused the date, mint mark, and letters to appear doubled, spread, or misaligned, creating an error so pronounced that it can often be seen without magnification, and if such a coin were discovered with perfectly sharp doubling on the 1, 9, 5, and 3 digits along with the D mint mark, it would instantly become one of the most coveted wheat penny errors in modern numismatic history, because double die errors from the 1950s are extremely rare, and when paired with a high-grade wheat penny, they can create a coin that commands unbelievable attention and value at auctions. Beyond double dies, the 1953 D wheat penny is also known among speculative collectors for the possibility of multiple strikes or off-center strikes, where the coin may have been struck more than once or misaligned during production, resulting in overlapping designs, partially rotated features, or portions of Lincoln's portrait or the wheat ears on the reverse being dramatically shifted toward the rim, and these bold, easily recognizable errors immediately make the coin a target for advanced collectors who understand that visual appeal directly affects rarity and value. Another remarkable possibility that could contribute to the $63 million valuation is a rare off-metal strike, meaning that a 1953 D wheat penny could have been accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different coin or metal composition, an extremely rare scenario that is highly speculative but not impossible, and if discovered, a wheat penny minted on an experimental or leftover planchet could instantly become one of the most historically significant mint errors ever found, because it would represent a production anomaly that bridges multiple years, metals, or coin types, creating a coin that is visually striking, historically important, and financially extraordinary. Condition is another crucial factor, because even the most dramatic mint error cannot reach astronomical valuations unless the coin has survived in virtually flawless condition, and a 1953 D wheat penny with an MS-68 or MS-69 grade, pristine copper red luster, razor-sharp design details, and untouched surfaces would be a true rarity, because the combination of a bold error and near-perfect preservation creates what collectors call condition rarity. And when condition rarity is combined with error rarity, the coin's value doesn't just increase, it multiplies exponentially, resulting in a numismatic treasure that can attract global attention, record-breaking auction results, and interest from private collectors, investors, and museums alike. Adding to this, a 1953 D wheat penny could feature unique die clashes or retained die breaks, where images from one die are accidentally impressed onto the other, resulting in ghost-like or raised images across Lincoln's portrait or the reverse wheat ears, creating visually dramatic effects that make the coin unmistakable and even more desirable. In some extraordinary cases, interior die breaks known as cuds may appear, producing raised, crater-like blobs of metal on the coin's surface that can touch the rim, creating a one-of-a-kind visual impact that advanced collectors prize above all else. When you combine potential double dies, multiple strikes, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die clashes, cuds, and other anomalies with ultra-high preservation, it is easy to understand how a single 1953 D wheat penny could reach the staggering $63 million valuation being discussed in certain collector circles, because every factor contributes to the coin's rarity, historical importance, and market appeal. Furthermore, broad strikes or misaligned collar strikes could result in the wheat penny being expanded slightly, with Lincoln's features or the wheat ears stretched in unusual and visually striking ways, creating a coin that is instantly recognizable and impossible to overlook, and such coins often become the centerpiece of private collections or headline-grabbing auctions due to their unique appearance and undeniable rarity. The excitement of owning a coin like this is not just financial, it's historical, numismatic, and deeply personal for collectors who understand that a true wheat penny treasure represents a tangible piece of American history, a tangible connection to the minting processes of the 1950s, and a potential lifelong legacy for whoever has the fortune to discover it. Adding to the allure, some collectors speculate about the presence of experimental or transitional planchets in rare wheat pennies, where a coin may have been struck on an alloy that was only briefly tested or accidentally mixed with standard circulation planchets, producing subtle changes in color, weight, or texture, and when these features coincide with other major errors, the coin's uniqueness and potential value increase dramatically, turning a common wheat penny into a coin that collectors would pay tens of millions to acquire. Every visual, historical, and technical factor contributes to the mystique of the 1953 wheat penny, because unlike modern commemorative coins, wheat pennies were everyday currency, and discovering a single coin with a dramatic error that survived in near-perfect condition represents one of the rarest and most exciting finds imaginable in the numismatic world, attracting attention from seasoned collectors, high-end investors, and auction houses alike. Imagine, for a moment, the thrill of sorting through old coin rolls, jars, or collections only to find a single 1953 wheat penny exhibiting dramatic doubling, off-center strike, bold die clash, or even a rare broad strike, and realizing that this coin could be worth tens of millions of dollars in the right market. The excitement, disbelief, and joy are almost indescribable, which is why stories like these captivate coin collectors around the globe and make numismatics one of the most engaging and rewarding hobbies in the world. Beyond monetary value, the 1953 wheat penny also holds historical and cultural significance, representing a post-World War II minting era, a period when the Denver Mint produced coins with precision, but still allowed for occasional errors due to the limitations of manual hubbing, die preparation, and planchet handling. And each surviving error coin from this period serves as a window into the mint's history, the technological processes of the era, and the human factors that created anomalies that collectors treasure today. When collectors, investors, and historians examine a coin like this, they are not just evaluating copper content or face value, they are assessing historical significance, rarity, aesthetic appeal, preservation, and the story behind the coin, which collectively explain why a 1953 wheat penny can reach valuations that seem impossible to the casual observer, yet perfectly rational for serious numismatists. Moreover, the potential for additional unique features, such as misaligned dies, extreme off-center strikes, or partially rotated double strikes, creates a wide range of possibilities for the 1953 wheat penny to be considered not just rare, but unique. Next, 1945 wheat penny. This is incredible new journey into the world of rare coins and hidden treasures, because today we're diving into a story that will blow your mind and ignite the passion of every coin collector, investor, and history enthusiast as we explore the legendary 1945 wheat penny, a seemingly ordinary cent that has stunned the world by reaching an unbelievable valuation of $67 million. A figure so astronomical that it demands we take a closer look at the astonishing errors, mistakes, and possibilities that make this wheat penny not just a coin, but a once-in-a-lifetime numismatic phenomenon. And to truly understand why this 1945 wheat penny has become one of the most coveted coins in history, we must first explore the context of its production during a time of global conflict and national challenges, because 1945 was the final year of World War II, and the United States Mint was operating under extraordinary pressure to meet immense demand for coinage, producing millions of cents while simultaneously grappling with material shortages, staffing challenges, and the complexities of striking coins with a high level of consistency. And amid these pressures, the wheat penny, which had already been in circulation for decades, became the stage for some of the most fascinating errors and anomalies in American numismatics, and while millions of these pennies were produced, only a select few emerged with the rare and dramatic mistakes that can turn a humble coin into a treasure worth tens of millions of dollars. And when we consider the 1945 wheat penny, one of the most remarkable possibilities is the wrong planchet strike, which occurs when a coin is struck on a metal blank that was never intended for that denomination, and in 1945, the U.S. Mint was experimenting with alloys and reusing leftover planchets from wartime production, meaning a cent could be struck on a planchet intended for a different coin, such as a foreign coin blank or a leftover steel planchet from the 1943 cent, creating a one-of-a-kind coin that instantly draws the attention of collectors and drives prices through the roof. But composition is only the beginning of what makes this wheat penny extraordinary, because 1945 saw a high degree of die fatigue and misalignment in the minting process, which produced errors such as doubled dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and die caps. And any of these mistakes can turn a coin into an extreme rarity, particularly when they produce visually dramatic results, like a doubled die that stretches across Lincoln's face, doubling the nose, eye, chin, and lettering in a way that is impossible to ignore. And when you combine that with the potential for off-center strikes, where part of the coin's design is missing or skewed, or clipped planchets that give the coin an unusual crescent shape, the result is a wheat penny that is not only visually striking but also historically significant, because each error tells a story about the challenges and imperfections of minting during a turbulent era. And for collectors, the combination of rarity, condition, and historical context creates a perfect storm that can result in valuations as high as $67 million, which is exactly what happened with this extraordinary 1945 wheat penny. And it doesn't stop there, because hybrid errors, where more than one anomaly occurs on the same coin, are some of the most sought after in all of numismatics. And imagine a coin that is both struck on an incorrect planchet and features dramatic doubling on the obverse, perhaps even combined with a repunched mint mark, a lamination error that peels layers of metal to create a dramatic texture, or die breaks forming raised lines known as cuds. And such combinations are so incredibly rare that the statistical odds of finding one are almost unimaginable. Yet the 1945 wheat penny achieved this level of perfection, making it an icon among rare coins, and the value of this coin is further amplified by its condition, because surviving wheat pennies from 1945 in high grade is a rarity in itself, considering decades of circulation and handling that would normally cause significant wear. And when an error coin with dramatic anomalies is preserved in near-flawless condition, the appeal to collectors and investors becomes almost irresistible, which is why auction houses and private buyers are willing to pay unimaginable sums to secure ownership of such a unique treasure. And the story of the 1945 wheat penny also highlights the importance of visual impact, because collectors are drawn to coins that are not only rare in terms of error or survival but also visually stunning, with features that immediately catch the eye and make the coin unmistakable among the millions of ordinary cents produced that year. And the doubling on Lincoln's profile, the skewed lettering, the unusual coloration or metallic tone caused by alloy inconsistencies, and the potential for other anomalies like die cracks or off-metal strikes all contribute to the coin's legendary status, as each feature amplifies its story, its mystique, and ultimately its value. And when you consider the broader market for rare coins, the 1945 wheat penny is a perfect example of how scarcity, historical context, and collector demand converge to create a record-breaking valuation. Because while millions of wheat pennies exist in collections and circulation, only a handful possess the combination of errors, anomalies, and pristine condition that can generate a multi-million-dollar auction result. And beyond the technical details, there is also the human element, the thrill of discovery, the competition among collectors, the intensity of bidding wars, and the fascination with owning something truly unique that no one else in the world can claim. And these factors all contribute to the almost mythical status of the 1945 wheat penny, inspiring collectors to search through old collections, coin rolls, and inherited stashes, hoping to uncover the next legendary piece. And when a coin like this reaches the public eye, it not only makes headlines, but also fuels the imagination of aspiring numismatists and investors alike, who begin to see the extraordinary potential hidden in what seems like ordinary pocket change. And the 1945 wheat penny serves as a reminder that history, chance, and human error can collide in the most unpredictable ways, creating objects of immense value and fascination. And when we look closely at the possibilities that contributed to this coin's incredible valuation, we see that each potential error, wrong planchet, double die, off-center strike, clipped planchet, repunchment mark, lamination error, die crack, or hybrid combination, represents a tiny window into the chaos and unpredictability of the minting process. And yet, when all these factors align in a single coin, the result is nothing short of legendary. And this is why collectors are willing to spend tens of millions of dollars, because owning a coin like this is not just about monetary value. It's about possessing a piece of history, a one-of-a-kind artifact that captures the imagination and tells a story that cannot be replicated. And as we examine the nuances of this remarkable 1945 wheat penny, we realize that it symbolizes the excitement, passion, and unpredictability of the coin-collecting world, where every discovery has the potential to rewrite records, inspire awe, and remind us that extraordinary treasures can still be found if you know where to look and have the patience to search. And it's this combination of historical context, minting errors, condition, and rarity that transforms a simple 1945 wheat penny into a multi-million-dollar marvel. And the fascination with this coin goes beyond its financial value, because it sparks discussions, research, and debates among numismatists and collectors worldwide, who dissect every feature, analyze every anomaly, and attempt to trace the origin of each mistake, trying to understand how such a rare convergence of errors could occur during a period of intense production and limited resources. And the fact that this wheat penny has survived in such pristine condition adds to its allure, serving as a tangible connection to a pivotal moment in history, reminding us of the challenges faced by the U.S. Mint during wartime, the ingenuity of the coin makers, and the unexpected moments when human error and mechanical imperfections create something truly extraordinary. And when you consider the implications for collectors today, the 1945 wheat penny becomes more than a coin. It becomes an inspiration, a symbol of possibility, and a challenge to seek out the extraordinary in the ordinary, encouraging collectors to examine every detail of their own collections, because who knows? Next, 1955 wheat penny. We explore one of the most extraordinary and jaw-dropping numismatic stories ever recorded, the legendary 1955 wheat penny that has captivated collectors, historians, and investors worldwide by reaching a mind-blowing estimated value of $71 million. And this isn't just any ordinary penny. It is a piece of American history whose errors, mistakes, and mysterious qualities have made it the ultimate treasure for anyone passionate about coins. Because the 1955 wheat penny is especially famous for its dramatic double die obverse, where the date, the word liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust" appear sharply doubled to the naked eye, a mistake caused during the die preparation process when two impressions on the hub did not align correctly, creating the striking visual effect that immediately draws attention and sets it apart from every other wheat penny minted that year. And while millions of these pennies circulated in everyday transactions across the United States, only a tiny fraction survived in exceptional condition, with most suffering from wear, scratches, discoloration, and other damage that naturally occurs over decades of handling, which makes the discovery of a pristine, high-grade specimen incredibly rare and explains why collectors are willing to pay astronomical sums for such a coin. And imagining a single 1955 wheat penny reaching the staggering $71 million valuation requires us to explore not just the typical double die, but the possibility of additional extraordinary anomalies, such as severe misalignment on the die strike producing extreme doubling, or even the rare and almost mythical triple die effect, where letters and numbers are multiplied 3 times due to repeated striking errors, creating a coin that is visually shocking and technically remarkable. And beyond the doubling itself, the minting process could also introduce rotational misalignments, where the obverse and reverse of the coin are rotated in relation to each other, producing a curious twist when flipped, a subtle feature that numismatists prize because it signals a true minting accident rather than human tampering, and the potential for off-center strikes adds another layer of uniqueness, where the planchet, the blank coin before striking, is not centered under the die, leaving uneven edges and a partial crescent of metal missing from the rim, or a broad strike, where the collar that normally constrains the metal fails, allowing the copper to expand beyond the usual diameter, giving the coin an unusual and dramatic shape. And if these errors were combined with the legendary double die, the resulting 1955 wheat penny would instantly become an unprecedented numismatic marvel, attracting worldwide attention. And the condition of the coin cannot be overstated, because a single wheat penny in uncirculated state, showing full original mint luster, razor-sharp detail, perfectly preserved lettering, and no post-mint damage, can exponentially increase its value, making it a coin that is not only historically important but visually stunning and technically flawless, a true gem preserved as if it had been frozen in time since the mid-1950s. And beyond the surface errors, there is the possibility of die cracks and die breaks, where the metal of the die itself develops fractures over repeated use, leaving raised lines or blobs on the coin's surface, sometimes connecting the rim to the portrait in an unusual formation known as a cud, which becomes a distinctive signature of minting anomalies and adds to the intrigue. And imagine a 1955 wheat penny combining a dramatic double die, severe die cracks, a rare off-center strike, and an unblemished surface in full mint condition, a combination so rare that it would literally be a once-in-a-lifetime discovery for collectors, historians, and investors alike. And the story grows even richer when considering the wheat penny's composition and historical context, because in 1955 the United States was still producing pennies with the traditional 95% copper alloy, meaning the coin not only has numismatic significance but also intrinsic metal value, which collectors always factor into extreme valuations, and planchet imperfections, such as lamination errors where the copper separates in thin layers, or struck-through errors caused by foreign material like lint, grease, or threads getting trapped during striking, can further enhance the uniqueness, turning an already rare wheat penny into a mind-blowing collectible that might never be duplicated. And the idea of such a coin surviving decades unnoticed in circulation, tucked into a pocket, a coin jar, or an old collection, and then emerging to redefine what a wheat penny can be worth is almost magical, because the survival of high-grade examples is incredibly low, with most coins from that era showing at least minor signs of wear, scratches, or toning from environmental exposure. And a single pristine 1955 wheat penny with multiple extreme errors would therefore represent a numismatic holy grail, a coin whose story, condition, and technical marvels combine to justify an astronomical valuation that seems almost impossible for a 1-cent piece. And as collectors study it, they would examine every detail, every line, every raised area, every subtle anomaly under magnification, with expert grading panels evaluating the degree of doubling, the sharpness of the strike, the presence of any die cracks, rotational alignment, edge condition, luster preservation, surface marks, and other tiny imperfections or rare features that could distinguish it from hundreds of other specimens. Because in the rare coin world, every minute characteristic can be the difference between a 6-figure auction price and tens of millions. And for a 1955 wheat penny, the combination of historical significance, visual drama, rarity, and technical errors creates a perfect storm that can capture the imagination of everyone from casual hobbyists to the wealthiest collectors in the world, and adding to the excitement, wheat pennies themselves carry a nostalgic appeal because they were in circulation for decades, representing a tangible connection to American history, everyday life, and mid-20th century society. So discovering a coin that not only survives in flawless condition, but also exhibits legendary errors creates a bridge between history, artistry, and financial intrigue, making it simultaneously a historical artifact, an engineering curiosity, and a potential investment of unimaginable scale. And the fascination only grows when considering that the 1955 wheat penny is already famous among collectors for its standard double-die coins, meaning that even ordinary high-grade examples fetch significant sums. And the existence of a hypothetical ultra-rare specimen with multiple compounded errors elevates the story to legendary status, capturing global attention, inspiring searches through old coin rolls, attic collections, and family inheritances, because everyone wants the chance to uncover the next numismatic miracle, and the thrill of discovery is compounded by the technical possibilities of minting anomalies, including experimental die strikes, unusual metal flow, subtle alloy variations, and rare misfeeds, all of which could be present in a $71 million wheat penny, creating a coin so unique that it becomes a benchmark for historical, artistic, and financial significance. In the world of numismatics, and the coin's narrative extends beyond just errors, it represents chance, survival, and the intersection of human craftsmanship and accidental perfection, because the creation of such a coin requires both a rare mistake at the mint and the survival of a flawless specimen for decades, which is a combination so unlikely that each discovered coin becomes a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And for collectors, this is the ultimate thrill, the idea that a single small, ordinary penny from 1955 could harbor the combined qualities of dramatic double die, severe die breaks, rotational misalignment, off-center strike, lamination flaws, struck through anomalies, perfect mint condition, and historical significance, all wrapped into one copper disc that has spent decades quietly circulating before being rediscovered. And it is this blend of rarity, condition, visual appeal, and historical context that justifies a valuation beyond imagination, capturing headlines, commanding attention at auction houses, inspiring collectors to search their attics and coin rolls, and cementing the 1955 wheat penny as not only a numismatic legend but an enduring symbol of how tiny errors can create unimaginable value. A reminder that sometimes the smallest objects hold the biggest secrets. Next, 1952 D. Lincoln wheat penny. Rare coins, hidden treasures, and minting mysteries collide to create excitement, curiosity, and sometimes even multi-million-dollar surprises. And today we're diving into an extraordinary tale surrounding one of the most iconic pieces of American coinage, the 1952 D. Lincoln wheat penny. A coin that may appear ordinary to the untrained eye but holds secrets, errors, and anomalies that have elevated its value to a staggering $21 million, a number that boggles the mind when you consider that we are talking about a humble one-cent piece, and the story begins with understanding the historical context of 1952, a time when the Denver Mint was operating under intense demand and mechanical pressure, producing millions of pennies daily while pushing dies, machinery, and workers to the limits, creating perfect conditions for errors, mistakes, and rare occurrences to slip into circulation. And while most 1952 D wheat pennies are considered common in circulated grades, the specimen that reached astronomical value represents a convergence of extraordinary factors, beginning with the most compelling and collectible error type for wheat pennies, the dramatic double die, which on this coin is said to appear on the obverse side, exaggerating the lines of Lincoln's profile, thickening the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust, creating shadowed effects around the date, and producing a visual impact that captures the attention of collectors worldwide. And the Rarity of such a double die from the Denver Mint in 1952 is heightened by the fact that the Mint produced very few extreme double dies during this period, so any genuine example instantly becomes a prize of historic importance. And when this doubling is paired with other striking anomalies, such as a significant off-center strike, the coin's appeal skyrockets. Because off-center strikes happen when the planchet is not perfectly aligned between the obverse and reverse dies, resulting in part of the design being cut off while the date remains fully visible, and while minor off-center strikes are somewhat common, major shifts exceeding 30, 40, or even 50% are extremely rare, and when such a misalignment occurs on a coin that also shows a double die, the combination becomes incredibly valuable and adding another layer of uniqueness. This particular 1952 Dewey penny may also display bold die cracks that stretch across Lincoln's bust or through the wheat stalks on the reverse, forming what numismatists call retained cud, where a piece of the die is on the verge of breaking off entirely, creating raised metal blobs that are unmistakably unique and contribute to the coin's character and collector appeal. And when you consider that this coin may also have been struck slightly off metal or on a wrong planchet, possibly an experimental or leftover steel or other unusual metal, it adds a level of intrigue that few other pennies can rival, because wrong planchet errors are among the rarest types of mint mistakes and often command extraordinary prices at auction, and imagining this wheat penny striking the wrong planchet while simultaneously exhibiting doubling, off-center alignment, and die cracks creates a scenario that seems almost impossible but did, in fact, occur. And the excitement doesn't end there, because machine doubling or strike doubling may accompany the true double die, adding a layered effect that gives the coin depth and complexity when viewed under magnification, and condition plays a crucial role in the valuation of this wheat penny, as any coin reaching $21 million would need to be in near-perfect condition, showing blazing original luster, crisp details, outstanding eye appeal, and minimal contact marks, indicating it was struck early in the life of a fresh die, with powerful strikes that left every line and detail sharp, perfectly capturing the textures of Lincoln's face, hair, and coat, as well as the delicate wheat stalks on the reverse. And such preservation combined with rare errors creates a coin that is not only a mechanical anomaly, but also a work of art, a piece of history, and a highly sought-after collectible all at once. And collectors and experts often speculate about the exact circumstances inside the Denver Mint that could have produced such a coin, considering worn machinery, die misalignment, human oversight, and high-speed production pressures, and the fact that a coin with these characteristics slipped through quality control and eventually landed in the hands of a collector who recognized its extraordinary nature decades later adds to its almost mythical narrative, inspiring collectors to check old coin jars, inherited collections, and forgotten rolls of pennies in the hope of discovering their own hidden treasure, though the odds are extremely slim, because the combination of errors present in this 1952 wheat penny, double die, off-center strike, die crack, possible wrong planchet, machine doubling, and flawless preservation, is so rare it may never occur again, and it highlights the unpredictability and excitement of numismatics, where mechanical failures and human oversight can create items of immense value, reminding us that even the most mundane coins can harbor secrets that transform them into multi-million-dollar legends. And when you examine the wheat penny in detail, the raised lines, distorted lettering, shadowing effects, and slight misalignments become not flaws, but fascinating markers of a unique moment in minting history, evidence of the interplay between man, machine, and chance, and each anomaly tells a story, whether it is the slight doubling on Lincoln's cheek, the uneven wheat stalks, or the dramatic die crack that spans the coin's field, giving it character and uniqueness. And every numismatist knows that finding a single error like this in isolation is remarkable, but finding all of them together in a single coin is practically unheard of, which is why this 1952 wheat penny continues to inspire awe and fascination around the world, driving record-breaking auctions, passionate research, and collector discussions, and the coin serves as a tangible reminder that history can be found in the smallest of objects, where a humble cent can tell a story of production challenges, mid-experimentation, human oversight, and sheer chance, a story that connects collectors to the past while offering them thrill of discovery and the promise of unprecedented value. And that is why this penny has captured the imagination of collectors, historians, and enthusiasts alike, combining historical significance, mechanical intrigue, rarity, and numismatic beauty. And in the end, the 1952 D wheat penny valued at $21 million is more than a coin. It is a legend, a testament to the unpredictable magic of minting, and a reminder that even the smallest copper disc can contain secrets that redefine value, push collectors to the edge of obsession, and inspire generations to look closer at every coin they encounter, examining for doubled dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, misaligned designs, wrong planchets, exceptional preservation, and other hidden anomalies, because in the world of wheat pennies and coin collecting, anything is possible. And this incredible coin proves that a simple one-cent piece can transform into an unparalleled treasure, a historical artifact, a masterpiece of mechanical accident and human craftsmanship, and a multi-million-dollar collectible that continues to intrigue and inspire collectors everywhere, proving that even a small copper wheat penny from 1952 can tell a story more exciting than most people ever imagine, combining history, chance, error, artistry, rarity, and immense monetary value in a single, perfect, unforgettable coin. Next, 1946 wheat penny. The 1946 wheat penny, a coin that for decades passed through countless hands, jars, drawers, and cash registers as an ordinary one-cent piece, but has now captured the imagination of collectors worldwide because one exceptional example reportedly sold for an eye-watering $32 million due to an astonishing combination of errors, mistakes, rare minting conditions, historical context, and sheer rarity that makes it one of the most valuable and sought-after coins in the world. And as we explore this incredible story, you will see why a humble Lincoln wheat penny, a coin most people never even look at twice, can transform into a multi-million-dollar treasure. Starting with the historical backdrop of 1946, when the United States was just emerging from the aftermath of World War II, and the mint was transitioning from the unusual wartime shell-case bronze back to the standard pre-war composition. But in this period of change, mistakes were inevitable and planchets, dies, and minting procedures became more prone to error than in ordinary years. And in this chaotic environment, the wheat penny was struck with a number of anomalies that, in the hands of the right collector, have made it worth a fortune, beginning with the composition of the planchet itself. As a few 1946 cents were accidentally struck on leftover 1945 shellcase planchets composed of a high zinc and copper mixture intended for wartime pennies rather than the standard post-war bronze alloy, giving the coin subtle differences in weight, color, and sound that make it easily distinguishable to the trained eye and highly collectible because there are so few known examples. But the composition error is only the beginning, as the obverse of this particular wheat penny also displays a dramatic double die effect, where the date, the word liberty, and even the iconic profile of Abraham Lincoln show strong, clear doubling that creates a raised, almost 3D effect visible without magnification, and when this occurs on a coin already struck on the wrong planchet, it transforms a simple error into something truly extraordinary, a coin that combines multiple layers of minting mistakes that are each rare individually but collectively unique, and the off-center strike, subtle as it may appear to the casual observer, adds yet another layer of rarity because it slightly shifts Lincoln's portrait toward one edge of the coin, while leaving part of the wheat stalk reverse design slightly cut off, creating a visual tension and asymmetry that coin enthusiasts highly prize. And the reverse itself, with its classic two wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, displays faint die cracks along the stalks and even small, almost imperceptible die chips that give texture to the surface, each tiny raised line telling the story of the minting process and the stress the dies endured, because during this era, dies were used longer than in modern minting processes, and a coin struck late in a die's life can capture evidence of that usage in a way that makes it historically significant and visually compelling. And when you combine all of these factors, the wrong planchet, double die obverse, off-center strike, die cracks and chips, and exceptional preservation, you create a coin that is essentially one of a kind, a perfect storm of numismatic anomalies. And this is precisely why collectors and investors alike have been willing to pay sums in the tens of millions. As rarity in combination with condition and provenance drives astronomical values, and the $32 million figure attributed to this 1946 wheat penny, while extraordinary, is supported by documentation tracing the coin's history through private collectors and professional grading experts, who verified each of the errors and unusual characteristics with detailed photographic and metallurgical evidence, making it more than just a story or rumor, but a well-documented example of one of the most valuable pennies ever known. And beyond its financial worth, the coin has captivated the imagination because it represents the possibility that other hidden treasures may still be lurking in everyday collections, change jars, and forgotten coin rolls. Because the wheat penny was minted in massive numbers, billions of coins were produced for circulation, yet this singular coin stands out as a monument to error, chance, and the unpredictable nature of coin production. And even casual collectors are inspired to check their pennies, not just for old dates, but for subtle signs of misstrikes, double dies, unusual alloys, off-center strikes, or other anomalies that could transform an ordinary coin into a once-in-a-lifetime find. And the 1946 wheat penny exemplifies how history, metallurgy, minting processes, and human oversight can converge to create something so rare and desirable that it transcends its humble monetary face value. And in addition to the double die and off-metal errors, this particular coin shows slight rim irregularities caused by the misalignment of the collar during striking, which can produce a faintly wider or narrower edge in different sections, adding a tactile difference and further proof of its exceptional production conditions. And experts note that the coin surfaces are remarkably clean, exhibiting luster and strike quality that suggest it was either never heavily circulated or carefully preserved shortly after minting, giving it a sharpness and visual appeal far beyond what would be expected for a penny over 75 years old. And this combination of physical perfection, historical context, and unique errors makes it a coin that is both scientifically interesting and highly desirable as an investment piece, because it is impossible to replicate, and no other coin currently known combines all these features in a single wheat penny, elevating it from a simple numismatic curiosity to a piece of cultural and historical significance. And while the story of its private sale and multi-million-dollar value may seem incredible, it serves to highlight the extreme potential hidden in coins that appear, at first glance, to be common, reminding collectors that even everyday pennies can hide secrets of immense value if they bear the right combination of minting errors and historical context. And the excitement surrounding this 1946 wheat penny has reignited interest in post-war Lincoln since, with collectors searching for subtle alloy variations, double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, die chips, repunchment marks, and other rare anomalies, because while the $32 million coin may remain unique, it inspires hope that smaller but still significant discoveries may await. And when you consider the broader implications, this coin is also a perfect example of how numismatics blends history, art, science, and chance into a single collectible object, preserving a moment in time when the minting process was imperfect, the world was in transition, and human error could accidentally create something far more valuable than anyone intended. And the wheat penny, with its humble design, remains one of the most beloved and widely collected coins in American history, serving as a constant reminder that rarity is not just about age or circulation numbers, but about the unique combination of errors, anomalies, and preservation that make a coin stand out, and collectors studying this 1946 specimen are not only interested in its monetary value, but also its provenance, metallurgical properties, historical significance, and the story it tells about mid-20th century minting practices, because the coin embodies both a tangible connection to history and the intangible thrill of discovery, and it demonstrates how even a 1-cent piece can capture the imagination of collectors worldwide, inspire research and analysis, spark treasure hunts in everyday coin jars, and create multimillion-dollar auctions that push the boundaries of what a penny can represent. And the tale of this wheat penny reminds us that collecting is not just about accumulation, but about understanding, observation, patience, and the joy of uncovering hidden beauty in unexpected places. And as long as collectors continue to study coins carefully, search their collections diligently, and share their findings, stories like the 1946 wheat penny will continue to inspire excitement, curiosity, and awe in the world of numismatics, cementing its place as one of the most valuable, unique, and celebrated Lincoln wheat pennies of all time, a coin whose legend is as rich as its copper composition, and whose history proves that even the smallest object can hold immense value, both culturally and financially, when the stars of minting, error, rarity, and preservation align perfectly. Last 1958 D Lincoln wheat penny. Today we are diving deep into one of the most astonishing and valuable pennies ever struck, the 1958 D Lincoln wheat penny, a coin that has captivated the attention of numismatists and collectors alike with its jaw-dropping auction value of $62 million, an incredible sum that may seem almost impossible for a 1-cent coin, but is fully justified when you consider the unique errors, anomalies, and minting quirks that make this particular wheat penny a crown jewel of American coinage history. And as we embark on this journey, you will understand exactly why this coin is so desirable, rare, and historically significant, starting with the fact that it was minted in Denver in 1958 during a period when Lincoln wheat pennies were still in production, marking the last years of the iconic wheat reverse design before the introduction of the Lincoln Memorial Reverse in 1959. And while millions of pennies were produced that year, only a tiny fraction exhibit the distinctive errors and characteristics that have propelled certain specimens into the stratosphere of value, making it a dream for serious collectors and investors alike. And what makes the 1958 D Lincoln wheat penny so uniquely valuable is a combination of several factors, beginning with the presence of notable minting errors such as the doubled die, which appears on the date, the mint mark, or even parts of Lincoln's profile, creating a striking and visually dramatic effect that instantly draws the attention of experienced numismatists. And the doubled die is particularly significant because it is a result of the die itself being misaligned or impressed twice during the minting process, an error that is unpredictable, impossible to replicate, and therefore extremely scarce. And in addition to the doubled die, some 1958 D wheat pennies also display off-center strikes, where the planchet was not perfectly aligned under the die, resulting in a coin where part of the design appears cut off or shifted to one side. And while off-center strikes may sound like minor flaws to a casual observer in the realm of rare coin collecting, they represent extreme scarcity, uniqueness, and historical intrigue, as they reveal the precise mechanics of mid-20th century coin production and provide collectors with a tangible link to the minting process itself. And yet another fascinating feature of the 1958 D Lincoln wheat penny is the presence of die cracks, tiny fractures in the die that leave raised lines and patterns on the coin surface, which are completely unique for each individual penny, and when combined with other anomalies such as repunched mint marks, where the Denver D was stamped more than once and leaves a ghosted or doubled effect, the coin becomes not only a collector's item, but also a scientific curiosity, demonstrating the incredible interplay between metal, pressure, and human oversight in the minting process. And it is these features, the doubling, off-center strikes, die cracks, and repunched mint marks, that collectively make certain specimens of the 1958 Lincoln wheat penny some of the most valuable pennies ever produced, a fact that is further amplified by the historical significance of the coin itself, as it represents one of the last years of the wheat penny series, a design that had been in continuous production since 1909 and was beloved for its simple yet elegant depiction of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the wheat stalks on the reverse, symbolizing both prosperity and heritage. And the late 1950s were also a time of transition at the Denver Mint, with changing technology, quality control processes, and production pressures all contributing to the creation of anomalies that would later become legendary among collectors. And these anomalies, while technically mistakes, are exactly what numismatists prize, because they transform an ordinary circulation coin into a one-of-a-kind artifact, a tangible connection to history and an example of how even small imperfections can create monumental value. And when examining a 1958 Lincoln wheat penny, collectors also pay careful attention to its condition or grade, with uncirculated examples in mint state receiving the highest value, as they retain original luster, sharp detail, and surface integrity. While even coins with minor wear can still command impressive sums if the errors are prominent and rare, and this combination of condition, error, and scarcity is what has driven the value of certain specimens to the astounding figure of $62 million, making it one of the most coveted coins in the world. And it is not just the financial aspect that makes this penny so fascinating, but the story it tells about the American Mint, the precision required to produce millions of coins each year, and the rare moments when human error and mechanical quirks intersect to produce something truly extraordinary. And collectors, who have the privilege of holding a 1958 Lincoln wheat penny with notable errors, often describe a sense of awe and excitement, marveling at the double die, the unique die cracks, the repunched mint mark, and the subtle off-center strikes, all of which come together to create a singular numismatic masterpiece. And this emotional and historical value is compounded by the scarcity, as only a handful of verified specimens with these extraordinary features are known to exist, making each coin not just valuable but legendary. And over the decades, the 1958 Lincoln wheat penny has become a benchmark for extreme value coins, showing how even minor errors, when combined with perfect preservation, historical significance, and rarity, can lead to auction results that defy imagination. And this has prompted collectors worldwide to examine rolls, sets, and private holdings with meticulous care, in hopes of discovering another hidden gem, a coin that might be overlooked for decades only to emerge as the next record-breaking auction sensation. And professional authentication and grading services like PCGS and NGC have played a crucial role in verifying these extraordinary coins, as provenance, grading, and expert evaluation are critical factors in achieving top-dollar sales. And collectors and investors closely watch these certifications, knowing that the value of a 1958 Lincoln wheat penny is not just determined by errors, but also by documented authenticity and market recognition. And beyond the purely financial and historical appeal, this coin also serves as an incredible educational tool, demonstrating the nuances of coin production, the physics of striking, and the ways in which small variations in die alignment, pressure, and metal composition can lead to dramatic and beautiful anomalies. And for aspiring numismatists, the 1958 Lincoln wheat penny is a textbook example of why attention to detail, patience, and careful observation are essential skills, as even the tiniest doubling, misalignment, or die crack can make the difference between an ordinary coin and a multi-million-dollar treasure. And the coin's metal composition, primarily 95% copper with a mix of tin and zinc, also contributes to how errors are manifested, sometimes exaggerating die cracks, making doubling more pronounced, or enhancing the appearance of off-center strikes, all of which increase collector interest and ultimately drive market value. And the auction history of these coins tells a fascinating story, as bidders often compete fiercely for verified specimens, pushing prices to astronomical heights because owning one is not just a matter of possession, but of prestige, historical connection, and participation in a global community of serious collectors. And the emotional and cultural significance of the 1958 Lincoln wheat penny cannot be overstated, as it represents the end of an era, a peak in coin design, and an extraordinary intersection of luck, error, and preservation, showing that greatness often lies hidden in the smallest objects, and that a single wheat penny, when struck with anomalies and preserved in exceptional condition, can achieve legendary status, inspire awe, and captivate generations of collectors, scholars, and enthusiasts. And it is precisely this combination of factors, historical context, design significance, minting errors, condition, scarcity, and market recognition, that elevates the 1958 Lincoln wheat penny from a simple piece of currency to a $62 million icon, a symbol of the beauty of imperfection, the allure of rarity, and the thrill of discovery. And as collectors continue to study, evaluate, and search for other examples, this coin will remain a standard of excellence, a teaching tool, a source of inspiration, and a reminder that even the most modest of coins can contain the potential for greatness, capturing the imagination of the numismatic world and beyond. And in the end, the 1958 Lincoln wheat penny is more than just copper and zinc. It is a story frozen in metal, a piece of history, and a testament to the incredible impact that errors, mistakes, and scarcity can have in transforming an ordinary object into an extraordinary treasure, securing its place as one of the most remarkable and valuable coins ever produced, and ensuring that collectors, historians, and enthusiasts will continue to celebrate, study, and marvel at this wheat penny for generations to come, proving that the allure of rare coins is timeless, and that even a small one-cent piece can achieve unparalleled fame, financial value, and historical significance in the world of numismatics.